because life values represent such a crucial part of this whole theory, and they connect our needs with our behaviors, I want to zoom in now and share a little bit more in details the science of those life values. So when we talk about them, the first person and the first work that we have to mention is Milton Rokic, and his work of human values, I dare to call him the father of human values, taught us two key lessons about the values. Lesson number one is that virtually every decision, no matter how big or small, starting from whom to marry, right down to which toothpaste to buy, is rooted in a value we hold and our beliefs around that value. And the lesson number two is that if we want to make a deep-rooted change in behavior, so to change behavior for better, to serve us better, it requires to re-evaluate our value system, find the consistencies and inconsistencies with this system, and try to align our actions and our values. And this has been described in the late 70s. A lot of this work has been done in the early 70s. And from this research, a conventional coaching practice emerged. I'm sure that you already tried this exercise, that you may even use it with your clients, and it's a really worthy one. So I'm just briefly going to describe how it works. First, you would get a list of values. There are so many different lists of values freely available on the internet. You can find them in many different books, and then you would have your client research this list, try out all different words, see what the gut feeling is saying, and they would pick top 10 values, which for them represent what is the most important to do well in life. The next step then would be to rank order those values from 1 to 10 and see which are the most important and the most influential values for this person. Then the client, together with you, would create an action plan where the whole idea would be to find spots and slots where you can introduce activities that are rooted in these values to bring more of those values to your life, which should result in improved levels of well-being. So this was the theory. But the practice showed that this doesn't really work on a long run as we expected. And now I'm going to introduce some challenges. Why do we think, how we recognize that this approach is not working on a long run as we wanted? So the challenge number one is that we're not always walking the talk. And to illustrate this example, I can share with you many different examples after this one and some of our own research, but I find this study from the Harvard researchers as really one of the best examples how we are not walking the talk and how what we say is important can be shifted out of our focus. So those researchers recruited families with children, and then they asked questions. They had a set of questions for parents and then a similar set of questions for their kids. So the questions for parents, one of them was, what is most important for you? For one, your kid achieving at high level, your kid feeling good most of the time, or the third alternative was your kid having a caring character. And then the questions for kids were tweaked just a little bit. So what is most important for your parents? You achieving at high level, you feeling good most of the time, or you having a caring character? And the result of these questions and interviews was really surprising, because 96% of parents said, we want caring kids. They said that developing caring moral character is their absolute top parenting priority. And then the kids said, well, that's not what I heard. 81% of kids thought that the top goal of their parents is their personal success. So there must be some force that makes parents say one thing, but then in reality behave a little different and convey a different message to their kids. The challenge number two would be that we don't stick to the plan. And a really good way to illustrate this, that even if we have the smartest goal set, we don't stick necessarily to the plan on a long run. And the great example for this is the research around New Year's resolutions. So the statistic and the research says that approximately 50% of population makes New Year's resolutions. The first 2 weeks in January usually go along beautifully. We hit the gym, we do whatever with our nutrition, we're really sticking to the plan. But then by February, people start to backslide. By July, less than 50% of people stick with their resolutions. By December, around 90% of people are back exactly where they started, if not worse. And that means that 88% of all set resolutions fail. So just in the US, it would be 150 million failed resolutions every year. And the challenge number 3 is that our values seems to change over time more than we can predict. There is a fantastic study, and there is also a TED Talk that describes the study in a very visual way. And I highly recommend that you reach out and look for it. It's called The End of History Illusion, but I call it The End of Change Illusion just because I think it's more easier to understand this message. So what does the end of change illusion means? It means that no matter our age, we always underestimate how much our values are going to change in the future. So let's look at this example. Let's say this was a 20 or 18-year-old individual who was asked to assess. So the first question was to assess how much your values changed in the last 10 years. And then the next question was to how much do you think your values will change in the next coming 10 years? And then this person would say, my values changed tremendously in the last 10 years, and they will not change much in the future. And this was true no matter the age of the participants. So ranging from age 18 to age 68, everyone underestimated how much their values are going to change in the next 10 years, which means that life values change over time more than we predict, which have us making decisions that our future selves are regretting. So this, after learning all those evidence, it was obvious for me that we need to get more details about these values and understand them in a better and closer way so that we can really exploit and how we can change the behavior by looking at our values.